Welcome back to the Elden Ring Bestiary, and today we're talking about the apparently much requested Omen. Although they're a somewhat uncommon sight in the lands between, the Omen are pretty important to Elden Ring's lore, because two of the demigods we face are Omen. But what does it mean to be Omen? Well, just like everything else in the game, it ties back into death. So when you die in Elden Ring, a few things can happen to your soul. Now, ideally, you would return to the Erdtree, but this only happens for a few people who die heroically. The vast majority of people who die end up as lost souls in the world of the dead, left to wander for eternity. But if you die in a particularly horrific way, your soul is cursed, and you cannot enter the Erdtree at all. An Omen is a cursed individual who is haunted by countless other cursed souls. This is why that curse manifests as horns all over the body, because they are filled with other life, granting them crucible-like aspects since the crucible was where all life was blended together. Omens are reviled by the Golden Order, both for their curse and their connection to the crucible. And typically when an Omen baby is born, their horns are excised and they die. The few that survive this process are forced to live underground in the capital's sewers. Certain Omen, on the other hand, are born to royalty, and these royal Omen do not have their horns excised, but they are forced to live underground. So any Omen that you see covered in horns must be born to royalty. Such is the case with Morgoth and Mohg. The twin demigods Morgoth and Mohg are both Omen, and they were born to the golden lineage of Godfrey and Marika, and they seem to have been direct children of Godfrey and Marika, not distant descendants like Godric. They spent the majority of their lives underground, but the Shattering gave them the opportunity to change their fates. Morgoth was obsessed with the Golden Order, and he hated his curse. Desperate for the Golden Order's approval, Morgoth sealed his cursed blood inside his sword, and as you can see, he even excised a couple of his horns. And he did eventually become the King of Landel, and was even given the title of Gracegiven, but the Erdtree never truly accepted him. Mohg, on the other hand, embraced his impurity. Eventually, he discovered an outer god known as the Formless Mother, who lit his cursed blood on fire and inspired his obsession with impurity. We see their personal journeys reflected in their designs, with Morgoth looking more human and Mohg looking almost demonic. Now, you'll find a couple of Omen in the overworld who are shackled and chained with heavy, thick weapons. During the Shattering, several armies actually took Omen out of the sewers and used their brute force, but this was not a matter of honor or respect. The weapons that the Omen dropped state that they were always intended to be taken away. And finally, we can't talk about the Omen without talking about the loathsome Dung Eater. The Dung Eater was a man obsessed with becoming an Omen, and he was not an Omen himself, but his armor is meant to look like an Omen with his horns excised. The Dung Eater would go around defiling bodies and planting curses on them, which meant that they would eventually become cursed spirits. And his end goal is to create an order where spirits are all rejected from the Erdtree, meaning every single one of them is cursed, and soon everybody's an Omen because there are so many cursed